This is our analysis of CrowdStrike's third quarter earnings results. Ready to dive into the numbers?
Absolutely. CrowdStrike had, a pretty eventful quarter, so a lot to unpack here.
For sure. Well, let's start with the headline figures. What did their earnings per share, revenue, and outlook look like compared to what analysts were expecting?
Yeah, right off the bat, they exceeded expectations on several fronts. Their non-GAAP earnings per share came in at 0.93 cents, beating the analyst consensus of 89 cents.
Okay, so a solid beat on earnings. What about revenue?
Total revenue for the quarter actually surpassed $1 billion, reaching $1.02 billion. That's a significant jump, a 29% increase compared to the same period last year.
Wow, that's a massive revenue number. And it sounds like they blew past analyst estimates there too, huh?
They did. Analysts were projecting something closer to $997 million, so CrowdStrike comfortably exceeded those predictions.
So exceeding expectations on earnings and revenue. Sounds like a strong quarter so far. What's their outlook for the rest of the year?
They're projecting total revenue between $1.028 billion and $1.035 billion for the next quarter. If they hit that range, it would represent, continued year-over-year growth, albeit potentially at a slightly slower pace.
Interesting. So continued growth, but maybe some signs of a slowdown. What are analysts saying about their full-year projections?
Analysts had initially projected full-year revenue closer to $4.1 billion. Now they're revising those estimates slightly downward, but it's still expected to be a strong year for CrowdStrike overall.
Okay, so exceeding expectations in Q3, but maybe some caution baked into the outlook. What's driving that?
Well, one factor they highlighted is the impact of what they called the July 19th incident. It was a system crash issue that affected some of their operations.
Ah, yes. That rings a bell.
Oh.
Can you remind us what exactly happened and how it's affecting their outlook?
Sure. Essentially, they had to deal with system crashes on some Windows systems due to a faulty content configuration update. Seems to have disrupted their sales activities, leading to longer sales cycles.
Ah, so a technical glitch leading to sales delays. That makes sense.
Right.
How significant is the impact, though?
They've estimated that the fallout from this incident could impact their net new ARR and subscription revenue by about $30 million in Q4.
Okay, a noticeable hit, but not a complete derailment considering their projected revenue. Did they mention any other factors influencing their outlook?
Yes. They also talked about their customer commitment packages, which are playing a role in their revenue projections.
Customer commitment packages. I don't think we've covered that yet. What are those exactly?
Basically, they're offering special deals to customers like flexible payment terms to encourage them to stick with CrowdStrike and adopt more of their products, especially in light of the disruption caused by the July 19th incident.
Interesting. So they're taking a bit of a hit up front to strengthen customer relationships and lock in future revenue. But hold on, we've been throwing around this term ARR a lot. Can you remind us what that stands for and why it's so important for a company like CrowdStrike?
Of course. ARR stands for annual recurring revenue, and it's a key metric for subscription-based businesses. It essentially tells us how much predictable revenue a company can expect to generate each year from its existing subscriptions.
Right, like a steady stream of income. And for CrowdStrike, this figure is particularly impressive, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. They just crossed a major milestone, surpassing $4 billion in ending ARR. What's remarkable is that they're the fastest pure-play cybersecurity software company to ever hit this mark.
That is pretty remarkable. So despite that July 19th incident, they're still achieving some impressive milestones. What does this tell us about their position in the cybersecurity market?
It signifies that CrowdStrike is a major force in the industry. They're not just acquiring new customers, but also successfully expanding relationships with existing ones, which is, critical for sustainable growth. It also suggests that their platform is resonating with businesses and they're willing to commit for the long haul.
Okay, so strong ARR growth indicates both strong customer acquisition and retention. But we focused a lot on the top-line numbers. Let's dive into profitability. How did they perform on that front?
Well, their non-GAAP income from operations was almost $195 million, which actually exceeded analyst expectations.
Okay, so another win on profitability. But you used the term non-GAAP. Can you remind our listeners why companies often report both GAAP and non-GAAP figures and what the key differences are?
Absolutely. GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, is the standard set of accounting rules used in the US. It provides, a strict framework for financial reporting. However, it can sometimes include items that don't necessarily reflect a company's core operating performance, like stock-based compensation or amortization of intangible assets.
Right, so non-GAAP earnings often exclude those items to provide a clearer picture of the underlying profitability of the business.
Exactly. In CrowdStrike's case, they reported a GAAP loss from operations of $55.7 million, mainly due to stock-based compensation and amortization. So while they look very profitable on a non-GAAP basis, it's important to understand the adjustments behind those numbers.
Oh, okay, I see the distinction.
Hmm,
But, sometimes these numbers can feel a bit abstract. Is there a way to gauge their profitability that's a bit more tangible for the everyday investor?
absolutely. Free cash flow is a great metric to look at. It represents the cash a company has left over after paying for its operating expenses and capital expenditures. Think of it as the money they have available to invest in growth, pay down debt, or return to shareholders.
Ah, free cash flow, the lifeblood of any business. What did CrowdStrike report for this quarter?
They delivered $230.6 million in free cash flow this quarter, and they even mentioned a free cash flow rule of 51, which caught my eye.
A free cash flow rule of 51. That sounds impressive, but can you break that down for us? What does it actually mean?
You got it. This rule of 51 refers to the rule of 40, a common metric in the software industry. It basically combines a company's revenue growth rate and its free cash flow margin. The goal is to have these two figures add up to at least 40%.
So a score above 40% generally indicates a healthy balance between growth and profitability. And CrowdStrike is boasting a rule of 51.
Exactly. They're significantly exceeding that benchmark. Their strong revenue growth combined with their healthy free cash flow margin demonstrates that they're not just growing for the sake of growth, but doing so efficiently and profitably.
Okay, so another indicator of strong financial performance. Now, we've covered quite a bit of ground on CrowdStrike's financials, but let's not forget that exciting new Falcon Flex subscription model they keep talking about.
Yes, that's a key part of their strategy, and we'll definitely need to delve into that
I'll
further.
hold that thought. We'll explore Falcon Flex and some of the other intriguing developments in CrowdStrike's world in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into CrowdStrike's latest earnings report.
Where we left off, we're about to explore CrowdStrike's Falcon Flex subscription model.
Right. This new model has generated quite a bit of buzz in the cybersecurity world, and for good reason.
Well, let's break it down for our listener. What exactly is Falcon Flex and how does it work?
Think of it as like a build-your-own cybersecurity solution. Customers can pick and choose the specific modules they need from CrowdStrike's Falcon platform and adjust their subscriptions as their requirements change.
So it offers flexibility and customization.
Yeah.
That seems like a smart move in a world where cybersecurity needs are constantly evolving.
Exactly. It allows businesses to scale their security posture up or down without being locked into a, rigid one-size-fits-all package.
I can see how that would be appealing, especially for organizations with dynamic security requirements. But how does this model play into CrowdStrike's overall strategy?
It's a key part of their platform approach. CrowdStrike wants to be the one-stop shop for all of a business's cybersecurity needs, and Falcon Flex makes it easier for customers to adopt more modules over time.
So it's not just about flexibility, but also about encouraging deeper integration with the Falcon platform.
Precisely. And CrowdStrike revealed some impressive stats at their recent FalconCon conference. Falcon Flex customers are averaging over 9 modules.
9 modules. That's a pretty significant commitment to the platform.
It is. It suggests that Falcon Flex is successfully driving that deeper platform adoption that CrowdStrike is aiming for.
Okay, so Falcon Flex seems to be working well in terms of encouraging customers to embrace more of the Falcon platform. But what about the financial implications? Is this model sustainable for CrowdStrike in the long run?
That's the big question. While Falcon Flex could potentially impact short-term profitability due to flexible pricing and payment terms, it's a strategic bet on long-term growth and customer loyalty.
So they're prioritizing building lasting customer relationships over maximizing immediate profits. It's a classic trade-off between short-term gains and long-term sustainability.
Exactly. And it's a bet that many analysts believe will pay off in the long run as it positions CrowdStrike as a trusted partner for businesses navigating the, increasingly complex world of cybersecurity.
Okay, so Falcon Flex is a bold move with potential long-term benefits. But let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture. CrowdStrike has been touting its impressive module adoption rates. What's driving that trend, and what does it tell us about their platform's strength?
Well, one key factor is the comprehensive nature of the Falcon platform itself. It offers a wide array of modules covering everything from endpoint detection and response to cloud workload protection to identity protection and more.
So they're catering to a broad range of security needs with a single unified platform.
Exactly. And this breadth of offerings, combined with the flexibility of Falcon Flex, is encouraging customers to consolidate their security solutions and rely on CrowdStrike for a wider range of their cybersecurity
I
needs.
see. It's about simplifying the security stack and creating a more streamlined and integrated approach.
Precisely. And the numbers speak for themselves. CrowdStrike reported that 66% of their subscription customers are now using 5 or more modules. And those numbers increase significantly as you look at 6, 7, or even 8 or more modules.
Wow, those are some seriously impressive adoption rates. It definitely suggests that their platform strategy is resonating with businesses.
It does. And this high module adoption is a testament to the platform's stickiness. The more deeply integrated a customer becomes with the Falcon platform, the less likely they are to switch to a competitor.
It's like building a cybersecurity fortress with multiple layers of defense, all interconnected and working together seamlessly.
That's a great analogy, and it creates a powerful network effect that benefits both CrowdStrike and its customers.
Now, speaking of competition, CrowdStrike isn't the only player in the cybersecurity game. What does the competitive landscape look like for them, and what are their key advantages?
Yeah, the cybersecurity market is incredibly competitive, with both established players and agile startups vying for market share. CrowdStrike faces competition from traditional endpoint security vendors as well as newer cloud-native security companies.
So it's a battle on multiple fronts, but
Yeah.
what sets CrowdStrike apart from the crowd?
They have several key differentiators. First and foremost is their cloud-native architecture. Unlike some legacy solutions that were later adopted to the cloud, CrowdStrike's platform was designed and built from the ground up for the cloud environment.
So they're not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Exactly. This gives them significant advantages in terms of scalability, agility, and cost efficiency. They can rapidly scale their services to meet customer demand, respond quickly to new threats, and deliver their solutions at a competitive price point.
It's like having a cybersecurity system that's always on, always learning, and always adapting.
Precisely. And their heavy investment in artificial intelligence, or AI,
Mhm.
further enhances their capabilities.
Right, we can't forget about their AI engine. It's been a cornerstone of their marketing for a while now.
Yeah, it's not just marketing hype. AI is a core component of their Falcon platform. Their AI engine analyzes massive amounts of data, identifies patterns, and detects threats with, remarkable speed and accuracy.
It's like having an army of virtual cybersecurity analysts constantly monitoring your systems for any sign of trouble.
That's a great way to visualize it. And their AI capabilities are constantly learning and evolving, making their threat detection even more effective over time.
So they're using AI to stay one step ahead of the bad guys, even as the threat landscape continues to shift at an alarming pace.
Exactly. And their single agent platform approach is another key differentiator.
Okay, remind us about the single agent approach and why it matters.
Instead of requiring multiple agents for different security functions, CrowdStrike uses a single lightweight agent for all of its modules. This simplifies deployment, reduces overhead, and improves performance.
It's a more streamlined and efficient approach,
Mhm.
which is crucial in today's, fast-paced digital environment.
Absolutely. It's a major selling point for businesses looking to consolidate their security solutions and reduce complexity.
So CrowdStrike is leveraging its cloud-native architecture, advanced AI capabilities, and single-agent platform to carve out a strong position in a crowded market.
They are, and their financial performance, high module adoption rates, and the early success of Falcon Flex all point to their ability to execute on their strategy and deliver value to customers.
Now, even with these strengths, CrowdStrike isn't immune to challenges. What are some of the key risks and headwinds they need to navigate moving forward?
Well, as we discussed earlier, the fallout from the July 19th incident is still a factor they're dealing with.
Right, those delayed sales cycles and the potential impact on revenue and ARR.
Exactly. And they'll need to continue monitoring the situation closely and ensure those customer commitment packages don't backfire in terms of long-term profitability.
Okay, so that's one risk to keep in mind. What else should we be watching for?
Another another persistent challenge for any cybersecurity company is the, constantly evolving threat landscape. The bad guys are always coming up with new and more sophisticated ways to attack, so CrowdStrike needs to keep investing heavily in research and development to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a never-ending arms race.
It is, and competition is another factor to consider. The cybersecurity market is attracting a lot of investment and innovation, so CrowdStrike can't afford to rest on its laurels.
Right, they need to keep innovating and differentiating themselves to maintain their competitive edge.
Absolutely. And then there's the broader economic climate to consider. A downturn in the economy could impact businesses spending on cybersecurity, which could affect CrowdStrike's growth trajectory.
Okay, so economic uncertainty is always a wild card.
It is. But on the flip side, cybersecurity is becoming increasingly essential for businesses of all sizes. So it's a market with, strong underlying demand.
It's a sector that's somewhat recession-proof.
Exactly. But even so, CrowdStrike needs to be prepared to navigate any economic turbulence and demonstrate to investors that they can continue delivering strong performance regardless of the macroeconomic environment.
Right, it's all about proving their resilience and adaptability.
Precisely. And on that note, it's worth remembering that CrowdStrike has consistently been recognized as a leader in industry reports and rankings, particularly in areas like endpoint protection and cloud workload security.
They did highlight some of those accolades in their earnings release, like being named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for endpoint protection platforms for the 5th year in a row.
Exactly. Those recognitions carry weight in the industry and reinforce CrowdStrike's position as a top-tier cybersecurity provider.
The valuable stamp of approval for potential customers who are evaluating their options.
Absolutely. And it reflects CrowdStrike's commitment to innovation and delivering cutting-edge security solutions.
Now we've covered a lot of ground on CrowdStrike's business and strategy, but we haven't even touched on some of the exciting new offerings and partnerships they unveiled at their Falcon conference.
That's right. They had a lot to share, from enhancements to their next-gen SIEM solution to strategic partnerships with industry leaders.
Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into all of that exciting news in the final part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into CrowdStrike's Q3 earnings.
Where we're, shifting gears from financial performance to the exciting innovations and partnerships CrowdStrike unveiled at their Falcon Cybersecurity Conference.
Right, they made quite a splash with their announcement. So let's dive right in. What were some of the highlights that caught your attention?
One of the biggest takeaways for me was the, continued expansion of their Falcon platform. They rolled out a slew of new and enhanced offerings, really solidifying their strategy of providing a comprehensive, single platform solution for all of a business's cybersecurity needs.
So they're doubling down on that one-stop shop approach.
Absolutely. And they made significant enhancements across various areas, including endpoint security, cloud security, identity protection, and their next-gen SIEM solution.
Okay, let's unpack those. Starting with endpoint security, which has always been their core strength. What did they announce on that front?
They introduced some advanced new capabilities for their Falcon endpoint protection platform. This includes enhanced threat hunting and response features and improved protection against ransomware and malware, which are increasingly becoming, top concerns for businesses.
So they're making their already robust endpoint protection even more formidable.
Precisely. They're constantly innovating and staying ahead of the curve when it comes to endpoint security.
Now, cloud security is another area where CrowdStrike has been making significant strides. What new developments did they highlight at Fal.con?
They announced several new features and integrations for their cloud security offerings. This includes enhanced protection for containers and serverless workloads, which are becoming increasingly popular in cloud environments. They also announced deeper integrations with major cloud providers like AWS and Azure.
So they're ensuring that their cloud security solutions seamlessly integrate with the platforms businesses are already using.
Exactly. They're meeting businesses where they are and providing the security solutions they need to protect their cloud assets.
Now, identity protection has become a critical part of the cybersecurity landscape. What's CrowdStrike doing in that space?
They made some significant advancements in identity protection with the launch of new identity threat detection and response capabilities. These capabilities leverage their AI engine to detect and prevent identity-based attacks, which are becoming increasingly common.
So they're not just protecting devices and networks, but also the people who use them.
Exactly. They're recognizing that identity is the new perimeter in cybersecurity.
Now, you mentioned their next-gen SIEM solution
Mhm.
earlier.
Right.
What new and exciting features did they unveil for that?
They announced several enhancements to their Falcon Insight SIEM solution, including improved scalability and performance, which are, crucial for handling the ever-growing volume of security data. They also added new threat intelligence integrations and enhanced visualization and reporting capabilities.
So they're making it easier for security teams to make sense of all that data and respond to threats more effectively.
That's right. They're aiming to provide security teams with a more holistic and integrated view of their security posture.
Now, beyond platform enhancements, CrowdStrike also made some noteworthy partnership announcements at Falcon. What stood out to you in that area?
Hmm. Several strategic partnerships caught my eye. They announced a partnership with Fortinet, a leading provider of network security solutions to unify, best-in-class endpoint and firewall protection.
So they're joining forces with a major player in network security. What's the significance of this partnership?
It's a powerful combination. By integrating their solutions, CrowdStrike and Fortinet can provide customers with a more comprehensive and integrated approach to security. This spans both endpoints and the network, creating a multi-layered defense against cyber threats.
It's all about creating a more robust and unified security ecosystem.
Exactly. And this partnership also expands CrowdStrike's reach into the network security market, which is a significant growth opportunity for them.
What other partnerships did they highlight?
They also announced partnerships with 1Password, a leading password manager, and Cardinal Ops, a provider of security operations automation solutions.
So they're broadening their ecosystem and partnering with companies that complement their core offerings.
Precisely. These partnerships demonstrate CrowdStrike's commitment to collaborating with best-of-breed solutions to provide customers with a comprehensive and integrated security posture.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from CrowdStrike's strong financial performance to their innovative platform enhancements and strategic partnerships. But let's step back for a moment and consider the bigger picture. What does CrowdStrike's focus on AI and cloud security mean for the future of the cybersecurity industry?
I think CrowdStrike is at the forefront of a major shift in the industry, driven by two powerful trends: the increasing adoption of cloud computing and the growing sophistication of cyber attacks.
So they're riding the wave of these transformative forces.
Absolutely. And their focus on AI and cloud security positions them to be a dominant force in this evolving landscape. AI is becoming increasingly crucial for detecting and responding to the threats that are too complex and fast-moving for humans to handle alone.
It's like having a superpowered security analyst working tirelessly behind the scenes.
Precisely. And as more businesses migrate their operations to the cloud, the demand for cloud-native security solutions will continue to soar.
Traditional security approaches just don't cut it in the cloud environment.
You're right. And that's where CrowdStrike's cloud-native architecture and deep expertise in cloud security give them a significant edge.
So it seems like CrowdStrike is well positioned to shape the future of cybersecurity.
I believe they are. Their relentless innovation, strategic partnerships, and impressive financial performance all suggest they're on the right trajectory.
It's been an insightful deep dive into CrowdStrike's Q3 earnings and their vision for the future of cybersecurity.
I agree. It's a fascinating time to be following this dynamic industry.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a final thought. Given CrowdStrike's emphasis on AI and cloud security, how might these trends affect you directly in your work or personal life?
That's a great question to ponder. How will AI change the way we protect our data and devices in the future? And how will the increasing reliance on cloud computing shape the cybersecurity landscape? These are questions worth considering as we navigate this ever-evolving digital world.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue. It's something that affects all of us.
Absolutely. It's crucial to stay informed and proactive about our own cybersecurity.
Well said. And with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
We hope you found this exploration of CrowdStrike's world insightful and engaging.
And be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more deep dives into fascinating topics. We're always on the lookout for intriguing stories and trends to explore.
Until next time, stay curious.